What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz, Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, and we did this last weekend, and it was fun, so we'll do it again this weekend. I hope you guys have had a great Royal Rumble weekend. Thank you to everybody that interacted with my content over the last couple of days, interacted with Jake and Cody and me over on Jake's side. Let me start by saying the last thing that I uploaded before this pod was a re-upload of Into Somewhere, which we did over on Jake's channel with myself and Jake and Cody, talking about all of our thoughts about the Royal Rumble. So if you want my full thoughts on the Royal Rumble, go check that out, but also go check out Jake, go check out Cody. It's my way of sort of trying to return the favor for all the help they've given me and this channel. So go check that out, give it a listen, but more importantly, go check out Jake and Cody and all the stuff that they're doing over on the Countdown Ended Into Somewhere side of things. But putting the Rumble in the rearview mirror, and a quick congratulations to Tommaso Ciampa for going to AEW and winning their 7th or 8th most important title on the show that nobody watches. I'm sure he will be treated just as fondly as the people that have gone over from TNA that have become the 102nd, 103rd, 104th, and 105th members of the Don Callis family. So what do we do here? Sorry, guys. Still dry as fuck up here in Canada, so you guys are going to have to put up with me sounding like crap. Hey, somebody said it down in the comment section the other day, so I hope you're not listening. Your poor, sensitive little ears won't be inundated with my coughing and sniffing and so forth. It's fine. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. So we're going to talk about TNA. We're going to talk about AAA. A little bit less this week. You basically had one theme on both shows. TNA went back to a tape show this week. So there wasn't going to be as many surprises. There wasn't going to be as much bombastic stuff. Check out our friends over at the Wrestling for Life Network, KJ and Big Nick. They discussed this extensively. The whole idea of whether or not it's a taped episode, whether it's a live episode, how much they should do, shouldn't do. I'll let you know where I stand on it right now. The tape shows are unfortunate because spoilers are out there, and it does give you a artificial hierarchy of, okay, this is an episode I definitely have to check out. This is an episode where not as much is going to happen. This is an episode where I think a lot of stuff is going to happen. That's a problem. That's a problem that they're going to deal with. But they told us at the beginning of the year, as part of the AEW deal, they mandated them to have more live events than what they were doing before. Because at some points, they weren't doing any live episodes. It was like, do a pay-per-view, tape all your episodes the next day. You know, pay-per-view on the Friday, do a bunch of tapings on Saturday, pay-per-view on Saturday, do a bunch of tapings on Sunday, etc. Now, I'm not without sympathy for the wrestlers because, you know, 2 days of work and then, you know, going home, seeing your families, doing other bookings is beneficial to a lot of people, I'm sure. But with TNA becoming bigger, broader, with the speculation that they have managed to get their hands on people like the Good Brothers and Hammerstone and possibly AJ Styles, it might be the place to be every week. It might be the place to work every week, and we hope that for them going forward. We hope for more live shows, bigger venues, bigger shows in general. I do like the presentation of it now. I do like the really simple, tall, slim, entryway. I think it's a neat look, where basically everybody else, from NXT to WWE to AEW, they have that low, wide style of entryway where there's a big stage going off to either side. The fact that theirs is narrow and tall and has a good look to it that way. Now, partially because that's because they're in smaller venues and they're trying to make up for the fact that there's not people behind the screen like there is at a WWE show where they do the hashtag small screen flex, as Jake and I have called it. But it is a little bit of a different look, and you need to look different when you're scraping up on being the second biggest company. The second, at least as far as the ratings go. They've already destroyed Collision, and Dynamite is next. Let's be real for a second. But as I say, this was a tape show. This was really based around, the big hook, I should say, based around this episode was the reveal of the Feast or Fired briefcases that we established last week. I said a whole bunch of what I had to say last week about the vindication of Trey Miguel, which is still a thing. I want everything for this guy, because fuck cancel culture. Oh yes, this is why Tessa Blanchard needs to wear a belt soon. But, so I'm going to sort of go in jot note form and touch on some of the other things they touched on in this show. Channing Stacks Lorenzo from NXT is still your international champion. He's out there with Ariana Grace. I was about to say Ariana Grande. Let's not do that. Her little Gollum-y friend will come yell at me. But the story that they're telling now is Ariana Grace, kind of on a dime, has turned and wants to make up with her dad, Santino, and she's no longer helping Stacks anymore. I don't know where the turn on a dime came from. It's the quickest babyface turn since John Cena. She refuses to help him in his... It really was a token title defense against the hometown man. I'm sorry, Cody Deaner needs to go back to being Cody Deaner, the hometown man. I get that it's a little bit kitschy, a little bit corny, something we can just have a little bit of fun with, and there's a place for that, but it's kind of done now. I know a lot of people were hoping he was going to pull down the fired briefcase and then just come back as Cody Deaner because the hometown man got fired, but basically... They wanted him in there with an opponent so that they could play out this, he asks Ariana to help him cheat. She doesn't help him cheat because she's trying to get back in her dad's good books, so he's the heel with the babyface girlfriend. We'll see where we go from here. I don't think he's going to have the title very much longer. The main event was a hardcore match between Rich Swann and, I'm not going to call him Top Dollar, AJ Francis. It was a lot of fun. Rich Swann got the win. I think this is the last remnants of the First Class story when it went from AJ Francis and Casey Navarro to AJ Francis and Rich Swann. Casey Navarro got kicked out of the group. Rich Swann turned on AJ Francis. This was the last beat of that. Rich Swann getting the victory. Top Dollar is amazing at playing a dickhead on TV, which is hysterical when you see what a good dude he is in real life, but he's also really good at, and I'm not saying this just because he's a big guy, I think the people that call him Uncle Phil at shows is a little bit off when you consider, you know, it's body shaming at the end of the day, but also, like, James Avery's passed away how many years ago now, so it's kind of double not that great, but because of the size difference and because Rich Swann is very much a cruiserweight with a cruiserweight style, he's very good at making the smaller guys look great. Underrated in that regard as well is somebody like a Brock Lesnar. When Brock Lesnar would go in there with a Daniel Bryan or an AJ Styles or a Finn Balor, it was almost better than seeing him have monster matches with other guys as big as him. But Rich Swann got the win. Big, feel-good, babyface, you know, I've risen above my, you know, oppressive tag team partner, I don't know. So Rich Swann looks good. Stacks and Ariana have a weird story going on. Another one that's really going to stick in my good books is the fact that they've picked up Elena Black. She left NXT. She went off and pursued other ventures that I'm not judging her for. People that do the OF stuff and alternative media like that. I don't care. If you can go grab a bag, grab a bag. I'm happy for you. I wish I could do it. Nobody wants to see this. That's why this is a podcast. But she had her debut match, and I can't remember the name of the girl that she debuted against because I'm a horrible person that did not write it down. The bigger story here is very much Daria Rey being on commentary. Daria Rey being the new sort of power authority figure type person in TNA and has brought in Elena Black sort of as her personal project. Kind of, and I don't want to snakebite this, but kind of a Vince McMahon, Drew McIntyre, you are the chosen one thing. So very much predicting that Elena Black is going to hop the line and very, very quickly get herself into the Knockouts World title picture and square off with somebody like a Lei Ying Lee, which could be a lot of fun. I mean, I know you got Danny Luna, Jody Threat, maybe even Natasha Steeles. Ash by Elegance wants to get back in that mix, but I think it's going to be a case of I'm friends with the boss, so I'm going to jump the line. Elena Black versus Lei Ying Lee wouldn't hurt my feelings, and not very much that she does hurt my feelings, let's be real for a second. But yeah, it was basically a tick box exercise. We had Stacks on there to remind you that he's the NXT guy with the TNA belt. We had Rich Swann out there to finally finish his story with AJ Francis. We had Elena Black, who's already on the roster, but we had to do the tick box exercise of her having her first match as a TNA talent. And then later on in the evening as well, maybe following in the footsteps of Elena Black, we had Kaz showing up at Daria Rey's office saying, "We gotta talk," which is a hook for next week because that's how the show actually ended after the street fight was over. We started the show with a replay of what happened last week with the system revolt, revamped, redone, renew. They came in today, and this is Bear Bronson, Cedric Alexander, Kurt Hawkins, and Eddie Edwards. The music is different, the entrance is different, the Tron is different, the sportsman type jackets that they wear are now black and white. It's very Death Riders if Death Riders was good type of vibes. They came out and they just kept on saying over and over again, it had to be done, it had to be done, it had to be done. very, again, on a minor scale, but very much like Roman Reigns coming in the night after WrestleMania and saying, it's my yard now. They just kept on saying it had to be done. You guys don't understand. It had to be done. It had to be done. They look like a different unit. They look like a brand new team has just debuted on the roster, because in all intents and purposes, it has. The person that was the driving force behind the system before was Moose. So if you've got now the system without Moose, it's a brand new group with the same name. Bear Bronson looks like a powerhouse. It is very much okay, these two are probably going to be a tag team. That guy's going to go for a singles title. That's the enforcer type thing. And the only other thing that happened with that was Eddie Edwards' wife, Alicia Edwards, do you want to know something, while she's berating them? You didn't keep me in the loop. You didn't tell me this was happening. I don't want anything to do with this. And she quit. Now, it was left kind of ambiguous as to, was she just quitting the faction and basically leaving her husband behind, or is this her out from not being in TNA anymore? Is she going to maybe a backstage role, or is she just taking a break from TNA, or is she just quitting the faction and she's going to try and be a babyface? Because babyface promos don't usually start with the very Vicky Guerrero, do you want to know something? It might as well be excuse me. So that's intriguing. If she's leaving for a bit, then fine. If it's a fake out, then also fine. If she's going to go off and do her own thing within the roster, I'm not against it, but I don't know what she does per se. Now, all that out of the way, it wouldn't be the last time we would see the system that night, because we did have the reveal of the Feast or Fired briefcases. Now, Feast or Fired, the big story coming out of last week, was Trey Miguel not only coming back to the company, not only being in Feast or Fired, but grabbing one of the briefcases. And everybody that has a bad sense of humor, which I can't really say anything against, because I have a bad sense of humor about stuff like this sometimes, but everybody with a bad sense of humor, including Trey Miguel himself as well as Matt Hardy, was like, oh, wouldn't it be really funny if TNA did this? And I'm like, it wouldn't, though, because he just got fired for real on day one of his new job. And, as I've said before, he came out on social media very bluntly, honestly, and openly saying, like, look, this happened. It really fucked with my head. I almost walked away from wrestling. TNA brought me back in. And that's the real life stuff. That's not the character stuff. But even still, like, don't fuck around with that shit too much. We've got other really horrible, terrible backstage news that I'm not even going to touch on in this article concerning stuff way darker and way seriouser than this. But the guy still thought he was moving on to the next stage of his career and got whipped out from under his feet by something as stupid as cancel culture. So let's not fire him again on TV, because that's just in really bad taste. So we'll just go through it. Eric Young got the X Division title shot. Eddie Edwards got the World Heavyweight title shot. That one was actually spoiled when they didn't go off air last week. Trey Miguel, interesting, got the international title shot, because there was no tag title shot in this version of Feast or Fire. It would usually be the World, the X, the tag, and a Fired. And, I mean, Process of Elimination tells you, much to the chagrin of our friend Ringsider Anthony from the Wrestling for Life Network, the guy that got fired was Macklin. He's probably going to be picked up by AEW. His partner is over there. That's a very valid reason to go over there. I cannot wait, and I said this to Tony, I cannot wait to tune into Dynamite and see him as the 125th member of the Don Callis family, and he couldn't even say anything about it, which was awesome. In all seriousness, a huge loss. If it is legit, if it's not going to be a story where 6 months from now he comes in and he fights to get his job back or whatever, which could be fine as well. Huge loss, because the guy... It's always used as a stick to beat people with, but he's a very reliable hand. He was the guy that they chose to put that belt on when they introduced the International Championship to begin with. Now, I don't want to tell people where to go. It's always this part of the conversation. If you want to go to AEW, if you think you've got a shot there, if you're going there because your partner's there, if it just makes sense for you, if it works for your life and what's going on in your life right now, cool, go for it. I hope you're not stuck with her on ROH or on, like, dark episodes of Collision that aren't even on TV or whatever. What do they call it? The House Rules shows that are their version of house shows. I hope something better comes along for him. I don't want to see him end up like Ace Austin and Josh Alexander and probably the Rascals and Speedball and Deonna Purrazzo and Taya Valkyrie and who else am I forgetting here? who else am I forgetting? Like, there's a long list. Oh, it's terrible, it's horrible. WWE is going to steal all the TNA talent, except the TNA talent is falling into a black hole called AEW/ROH. It's really bad. I mean, I'm not going to lie, as a selfish NXT guy, I would love it if we scooped him up in NXT. Don't think that's going to happen. I think that causes a little bit of an extra ruction for his partner over in AEW, who's already not getting featured, who's already gone out on social media on multiple occasions. Hey, Deanna, we love you. When are we going to see you? Probably in the commercial break. That's really terrible. Now, Eric Young going for the X Division title is a bit weird. He's a little bit more of an elder statesman within TNA now. I don't think him going for the mid-card title, especially to take it off of somebody like Leon Slater, who holds it currently. I don't think that's the thing. I don't know where that goes, if I'm entirely honest with you. Eric Young's a fantastic wrestler. I'm sure him and Leon Slater will work out some kind of amazing match between the two of them. Not what I would have done. The concern would have been Trey Miguel. Trey Miguel's an X Division guy. Put him in there. And don't get me wrong, Trey Miguel, Leon Slater would be a hell of a match. But Trey Miguel, I want everything for this kid. I want him to be in the world title picture eventually. I would have been happy if he was in the world title picture, if he got the world title, briefcase, because Trey Miguel versus Mike Santana would be fantastic. Trey Miguel got the international title, which is interesting, and it goes back to that Seth Rollins conversation. Oh, we just call the world title belt the Seth belt, which is fucking terrible, and people need to stop doing it. But the fact that it's the Seth belt is because they had the trust and the conviction in Seth Rollins to say, we've got a brand new title, we need somebody to get it over the line, and Seth Rollins could do it. Now, Macklin did that with the international title, but now we have this very interesting, unique thing that they've already done once with Santana, as far as getting the TNA title back. This is the international title. It's a mid-card title. It's a brand new title that still needs some shining up as far as its value goes, in my opinion. You can do all of those things. If you put all of those responsibilities on the shoulders of Trey Miguel, to be the one that brings it back to the company beating Stax will be a lot of fun. Two, that's how we're counting today, to be the guy that elevates that title into a prominent prize on the roster, because I'm not going to lie, especially even before it was put on Stax, who's part of the NXT Outlaws, the NXT Invaders thing, which is an entirely separate conversation, I do have to remind myself every once in a while that international title exists. I don't think it necessarily needs to, if I'm perfectly honest with you. But they weren't going to hand the X Division title over to an NXT star. I'm pretty sure that's their flagship, what do you want to call it, their signature title. Not their world title, but their signature title. So he's going to win it from Stax. He's going to win it for TNA. He's going to wave the TNA banner while he does it. And then within TNA, he's going to make that title something important. Now, Eddie Edwards, as the new, I guess, figurehead of the new system, going up against Mike Santana is going to be a lot of fun, because we're going to have all the hatred that the fans have for kicking JDC in the nuts on his way out of the company, as well as just taking out Moose. And it's hard to say that Moose is the lovable, scrappy underdog, because fucking look at him. But 4-on-1, you're going to be the lovable, scrappy underdog. He's going to get his ass handed to him. Eddie already got into Santana's face about becoming the new champion and what it's going to mean, and there's a new system in town and all that kind of thing. So very very interesting placements. I would have done Young for the international, Eddie for the X Division, and Trey for the world. So literally put them all on a Rubik's Cube and rotate them one block. But, out of the four guys there, I wasn't going to fire Eric Young, I wasn't going to fire Trey Miguel, I wasn't going to fire Eddie Edwards. So it was going to be Macklin by default, but that's no disrespect to the man himself. The guy's great. He'll be an asset wherever he goes. If he ends up coming back in 6 months, he'll be an asset to TNA again. If he goes to NXT, he'll be an asset to NXT. Him going over, I said this about Trey Miguel a while ago, but Steve Macklin, as a badass jarhead babyface guy going up against cocky, flashy sports entertainer Ricky Saints as the NXT champion wouldn't suck. I'm just putting it out there. But like I say, very, very tick box episode. Very, very, if you put this in front of me and asked me, do you think this was a taped episode or a live episode, I would have probably guessed that it was taped. Again, very tick box, very, we put the pieces where they needed to be on the board. We ended Swan and Francis. We reminded you that Stax has one of the TNA titles. We processed the new system story a little bit. We debuted Elena Black, and we got the Feast or Fire briefcases out of the way. So, not the most bombastic of episodes of TNA Impact by any stretch of the imagination, but a lot of fun and a lot of different interesting directions moving forward. And I will say, I am interested going forward about the rumors that they may have re-signed the Good Brothers and they may have re-signed Hammerstone. Those are very interesting signings. Hammerstone, if he comes in as a babyface, which would be weird. Hammerstone going up against somebody like a Bear Bronson, now that Bear Bronson is this heel character with this heel faction behind him. Maybe Hammerstone and the Good Brothers are a faction, maybe led by AJ Styles, who just quote-unquote retired. Everybody's like, oh, why would he go to TNA? What? I dare you to go and ask AJ Styles, why the heck would you want to go back to TNA? Come on now. Somebody said to me, well, look at all the friends he has in AEW. So I said, okay, cool. So he's going to be brought in to make the Young Bucks relevant. He's going to be brought in to maybe have one really awesome match with Kenny Omega, one really awesome match with Ospreay, and then he'll be jobbing to Emo Cowboy and Swerve Strickland, and then you'll be finding the phenomenal AJ Styles doing random ass nonsense on ROH behind a paywall that nobody wants to pay for, and that's really sad. Now AJ comes back with the Good Brothers, you know, the club, the clique, whatever you want to call them, the band as they were initially called when they came to TNA ages and ages and ages ago. But I don't know, AJ coming back to TNA, I don't see it. Maybe I do see it. Maybe that year-long retirement run that he's going to have is going to be home in TNA. Now that TNA is flourishing and doing things that it should be and kicking the shit out of Collision. Now, here's your direct comparison. If AJ Styles showed up on Impact, on the next live Impact, obviously, don't give it away on a spoiled show, he would be performing in front of a TV audience larger than the TV audience that saw Tommaso Ciampa on Collision, winning the 7th or 8th most important title on the show that nobody watches. I'm just saying, just a little bit of food for thought, a little bit of comparison for clarity. Don't get yourself into some analysis paralysis. Just look at the simple facts in front of you. Now, switching over to AAA, I didn't have much of a preview going into AAA, other than the fact that we were starting the REYES Championship as described to us last week by Penta, who's going to be there at the REYES pay-per-view to give the winner a sword, because he's giving them a sword. Fantastic. Now, again, a couple little notes here and there. The weird love triangle thing between Lola Vice and La Hydra, or whatever, sort of came to a head, I guess you could say, as they fought each other with Mr. Iguana as the referee. Mr. Iguana out there with the green referee shirt, and Lola and La Hydra both out there. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Somebody correct me down in the box below if I'm wrong. Both out there dressed in green to curry the favor of the referee, of the official, of the person whose attention they're obviously fighting for. Now, La Hydra and Mr. Iguana were the former mixed tag champions, to the best of my knowledge, and I think Lola Vice wants to be his new partner to go back and chase them again. I think they're going for those titles next week. Am I wrong about that? I didn't read the preview for next week, so I think that's a thing. But if you're going to get Lola Vice and Mr. Iguana taking on Chelsea Green and Ethan Page, that'll be a lot of fun as well. Speaking of tag teams, now, there's already a El Hijo del Vikingo and a mini Vikingo. Would you like some more Vikingos? Would you settle for more Vikings? The Viking Raiders are coming to AAA in 2 weeks. I can only assume that that's to set up some sort of exhibition for them, get them out in front of the AAA crowd before they announce that they're going for the tag team championships. Now, that means we're going to get the Viking Raiders versus the Psycho Circus, probably at REYES. I really like the sounds of that. I really, really do. It'll be a lot of fun, and I like fun stuff. Now, we knew we were getting the first round match of the, of the REYES tournament, which is basically a fatal four-way, a fatal four-way, a fatal four-way, and a fatal four-way, where all the winners go into another fatal four-way, and that winner gets the sword and a shot at the AAA Mega Championship. But before we got to that, we got another another fatal four-way match, and it's a number one contenders match for the Cruiserweight Championship to go against Laredo Kid. Now, Chris Carter, I didn't know anything about. I think I've seen him fight once before, coming out in pretty regular ring gear and red eyes and whatever. Elio LaFleur, who just made his debut on NXT, who came... and the crowd goes mild. I don't know what to say. I'm not saying that he's a bad wrestler. I'm saying he didn't catch anybody's attention. And I'm saying the people that are critical of NXT and the people like me that are super high on NXT, a little bit more presentation, a little bit of pomp and circumstance, a little bit of smoke and mirrors, a little bit of something, get him a mask that fits, etc. As I say, not bad. He's got a lot of places to go. Mini Vikingo, who was stuck last week between Octagon and somebody else that I can't remember. I had never seen Mini Vikingo before, but he made a pretty good showing of himself as the annoying third person in the triple threat. And the bigger thing for me, and I know he's been all over the place, I know he's been to Japan, I know he was in TNA before, but my introduction to TJ Perkins was back at the Cruiserweight Classic when he was like the video game guy and whatever. So when they announced, they just threw it up on the graphic. There was no big announcement. They just threw it up on the graphic. It's like, oh yeah, Chris Carter, Elio LaFleur, Mini Vikingo, and TJP. I'm like, TJP what now? So he's kind of a dickhead, kind of a heel. He's almost... I hate to say this because I'll always stick up for the Miz, but he was like athletic Miz in this match, and he won the match over Mini Vikingo and Elio LaFleur. He did what everybody does, what every heel tries to do in a multi-person match, what Trick Williams did to almost scientific accuracy back at Saturday night's main event. Just sit back, watch, anytime anybody else hits a move, pull that person off and try to steal the pin. And eventually that's what he did. I want to see more of Chris Carter. Elio LaFleur, they seem to like him presentation-wise. He needs something. Mini Vikingo is a separate story, however, because after TJP gets the win, out comes El Ojo, which is this weird faction, tag team, whatever you want to call it, of El Hijo del Vikingo and Omos, and their manager, whose name I can't pronounce, so I'm not going to try. And they basically stare down at TJP. He looks like he's going to shit himself, which is awesome. But then they're like, no, we just want him. So he chucks in the already dead body of Mini Vikingo, who just gets powerbombed like somebody's putting a ball in a basket by Omos. The size difference between Omos and Mini Vikingo is absolutely hysterical and terrifying. So I'm sure before... Vikingo has his shot at Dominic Mysterio, which I think is also coming up at REYES, because we had a promo from Dominic Mysterio as well. Pretty sure there's going to be a squash match between Vikingo and Mini Vikingo, and it's not exactly like Vikingo needs the numbers advantage, but he's gonna have it. Anyways, now, a lot of fun there. Viking Raiders are coming. TJP is back, apparently. He's just there now because he's there. Lola Vice continues to be a highlight on no matter what show she's on. She's great on NXT. She's great in AAA. They love her in AAA, seems like. And she had a pretty good showing of herself in the Rumble as well. I know I'm not talking about the Rumble here, but she made a pretty good showing of herself, along with Sol Ruka, Kalani Jordan, and of course Jordan Grace at the Royal Rumble there. So lots of people that I want to see. And this is, like I say, I will keep underlining and underscoring, yes, I am new to AAA. I am new to watching AAA. Yes, I'm one of those people that started watching AAA when they hooked up with WWE. I've got no problem putting my hands up and saying that. But they're showing me people that I want to see more of. They're showing me Las Toxicas, which as a group are a lot of fun. And I think they've got the Reina de Reinas championship as well, which I'm pretty sure Lola Vice is going to go after sooner or later. It's not that hard to figure that one out. Chris Carter had a good showing of himself in this four-way match. Elio LaFleur is a great wrestler. Presentation needs work. Mini Vikingo has impressed me 2 weeks on the bounce. TJP, I was always a fan of, no matter where he was. I know people said he was like a shithead backstage or whatever the case may be, but guess what? Your favorite probably was, too. Now, the other Fatal 4-Way. Now, they could have changed this up a little bit. They could have made one of these an elimination match. They could have made one of them a triple threat instead of a Fatal 4-Way. Doing 2 Fatal 4-Ways back-to-back, not the greatest, not gonna lie, as far as putting a show together, but that's such a minor critique. I'm only saying it so that I don't not say it, if that makes sense. But it was Aerostar, who's new to me, Jack Cartwheel, who's a gimmick right now, La Parka and Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews still has his music from years ago. Looks like $1 million. Glad to see him back on my TV. Would have been interesting to see Apollo Crews show up in the Rumble and square off with guys like Omos and Powerhouse Hobbs, now Royce Keys, Trick Williams, etc., because I think he is an athlete on that level for sure. WWE has made an Olympic event out of dropping the ball on Apollo Crews, but I figured, no word of a lie, I thought this was going to be Apollo running through these other three guys, and it wasn't. It was La Parka. It was La Parka, who also had a pretty good showing of himself representing AAA in the Royal Rumble, along with Mr. Iguana. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, I don't know what to say other than another solid match. Another match that made me think most of the way through what I thought at the beginning, that yeah, Apollo's going to win this. Apollo's like the known name, with all due respect to the other guys. La Parka isn't the original La Parka. We all know this. It's all tongue-in-cheek. Aerostar, fantastic luchador that I've only seen a couple of times, want to see more. It's the Chris Carter thing from the previous match. Don't know this guy, don't have much to say about this guy, but I saw enough to make me want to see more, and at this point, that's all I need. Jack Cartwheel right now is a gimmick. It's like, if you've heard me talk about going to Destiny shows, check it out for Spaz Phoenix Bucket List, you find we got El Reverso in Destiny, and his whole thing is he's a counter wrestler, he's a reversal wrestler. It's a fun gimmick, but it also has a ceiling, and I say that in the most respectful way possible, because you've got La Parka, who's there to win a match, you've got Apollo, who's there to win a match, you've got Aerostar, who's there to win a match, and you've got Jack Cartwheel, who's here to do cartwheels. That's not great, because the guy's also a fucking fantastic wrestler and whatever. It's very much what we said about Shawn Legacy in the, what was it, the Triple Threat Fatal 4-Way, or the ladder match coming up this coming Tuesday on NXT, where he cut the most generic, almost to the point of parody, just happy to be here. Hey guys, I got nothing to lose. Okay, so when you lose, we won't feel anything. It needs to be bumped up a little bit, but seeing Apollo Crews again, awesome. Jack Cartwheel, entertaining. Aerostar, want to see more. La Parka, lots of fun. He got the win. The fun guy got the win. That can be great as well. Going back through, I'm going to be repeating myself now. Chris Carter, I want to see more of Chris Carter. Elio LaFleur, they got to do something to make me care. Mini Vikingo didn't win this match, but seems to have a story going forward, so that's good. TJP back on my screen is never going to be a bad thing. Viking Raiders taking on the Clowns, probably, like I say, at REYES, it'll be something, because I think like Murder Clown is going to stare down Ivar at one point, and everybody's just going to go, look, it's the Big E special. It's two meaty men slapping man meat. One of them's a Viking and one of them's a clown. Fantastic. The ladies killed it. I'm pouring a lot of praise on Lola Vice, but La Hydra was also great in this match. Mr. Iguana was there doing Mr. Iguana things. I guess he's playing the nerd in every sitcom that's stuck between two hot chicks and kind of can't believe his luck. So it was all very good. It's all building block stuff. It's less than an hour. Like the AAA show is less than an hour. It's like 55 minutes if you go back and watch the replay on YouTube, because I think at this point they've even edited out the kind of poorly inserted commercial breaks, but it's getting better. Like I say, they ticked a lot of boxes on TNA. The Feast or Fired briefcases, they didn't do what I feared they were going to do to Trey Miguel, which was the biggest thing. Trey Miguel's going to save the International Championship from the hands of Stax and the hands of NXT, and we move closer and closer and closer to the Rey de Reyes tournament at the Rey de Reyes pay-per-view. Lots of fun in TNA this week, lots of fun in AAA this week. They've given us immense amounts of, I didn't see this tonight, but I've got this to look forward to, this to look forward to, this to look forward to, this to look forward to. Eddie Edwards versus Mike Santana is not going to be any bad thing either, is it? So, tell me what you guys think down in the box below. If you're watching this live, or if you're listening to this on headphones, I'm sorry I've been coughing like crazy. It's still crazy cold and crazy dry up here where I am, so it's just a danger of the times as we head into February now. Happy February to everybody. Hope you had a good Royal Rumble weekend. I will be up here at some point to talk about this big NXT episode they've got coming up this week, and if not, we will touch on it on the State of Wrestling with myself and Jake DeMarco. Please do go back one pod, check out the Into Somewhere episode that I was happy to be a guest on with Jake and Cody. Please go support our friend Jake over at Countdown Ended. Go support Cody at Judgment Day Era. That's all I've got to say. These were two pretty good shows. We got a lot of stuff to look forward to. Royal Rumble weekend is officially over. I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.